Good day, my name is Graham Ward and I'll be facilitating you through Unit Standard 252042. The title of the Unit Standard is Apply the Principles of Ethics to Improve Organizational Culture. The specific outcomes of this Unit Standard are demonstrate understanding of the relationship between values, ethics, and organizational culture and its impact on achieving goals and objectives. Apply the concept of corporate ethics to a unit. Analyze a unit in relation to the principles of corporate ethics. And lastly, formulate recommendations for strengthening shared organizational values, the code of conduct, and ethical practices. So the definition of ethics is, it's the moral principles that control an individual's behavior. So ethics in principle is a value of an individual. And there are three types of values an individual may abide by. 1. Ethical or moral values. A moral value might be not stealing from somebody or murdering somebody. That's a moral value. Secondly, you get doctrinal values. These might be political or religious values that an individual might have. One individual may have a certain religious value and another a different type of value. These values are doctrinal values. Aesthetic values are the third types of values we might have with regard to morals and ethics. And these are values that we have aesthetically inherited along the way, such as being kind to one another or being polite. This is an aesthetic value. Okay, let's take a look at some of the principles. Let's take a look at some of the ethical principles businesses face today. One of the main principles is selfishness and personal gain in business. Number 2 is profit pressures. Companies are constantly having to increase their profits in order to meet shareholder needs, and these in themselves are creating pressures of ethical nature. More and more often, business standards are also conflicting with ethical issues or personal values. And in a global age, ethics has become more and more important with regard to cultural and religious issues. For example, we see the conflict of the United States or the world against the Muslim countries in the East. This is causing conflict both ethically and from a value system and affects the business environment. Let's take a look on the screen right now, some basic ethical issues that need consideration. For example, integrity. Integrity is doing what you say you're going to do. So whether it's a major client at work or a spouse at home, the foundation of a relationship is integrity. There is a trust relationship between the partners and the parties. Public duty, for example, means that companies are having to maintain a level of integrity and truth when advertising products or services. Conflict of interest is also a basic ethical value. You cannot be working for one employer and then for another, as the possibility of you sharing secrets and/or intellectual wealth could be at risk. Whistleblowing, for example, is a fairly new trend in ethics. This allows the public or employees to blow the whistle on companies or behavior that they see to be unethical. It brings these out in the open, particularly when it comes to governmental issues or issues of public nature. A work-life balance is also important from an ethical perspective. People can't be expected to work too long hours and not have a basic balanced life. This too has ethical issues and have been raised in China, for example, with the way the labor population there has been handled. A few years ago, Nike and Adidas had the spotlight shining on them with regard to unethical labor behavior in the likes of China and Taiwan, where laborers were expected to work long hours for very little pay. Ethics is also linked to people, how people are treated, what sort of minimum wage they receive, what sort of hours they work, as I've just said, and also people and their health conditions, their work environment. These issues from an ethical nature have become prominent in today's modern society. How are businesses treating our planet or the depletion of the resources? These are highlighted in our press, and our public at large are making decisions based on the ethical behavior of companies. So ethics may also affect the way we conduct our business, and there are various stakeholders that make up this ethical behavior and the stance a company may take. They are investors, employees, customers, competition, our interaction with the government and environment, and of course our intellectual and international property. More and more often, companies are having to look at a code of ethics or a code of conduct in order to ensure A, behavior within their organization, and B, how they handle the outside world. When implementing a code of conduct or ethics, a company should consider the following plan of action. It's essential that the company gets top management's approval for a plan of action or a code of conduct. A strategy then needs to be developed and implemented throughout the organization so that everybody on board understands the strategy. Training and an awareness campaign for employees is essential towards the ethical plan or the values of the company and a code of conduct. Employees need to be made aware, and from the top to the bottom down, this decision needs to be implemented along the strategy lines of the organization. Each member of the organization must understand the ethics and values of the organization. At this point now, you would want to implement hotlines and software, generate deviance reports and/or take corrective action where necessary if employees fall outside of the ethical values or behave incorrectly. 12 months after implementation of such a strategy, you may want to evaluate the commitment towards the ethical values. With commitment and again reassurance towards the values and ethical stance of the company, you're able to update that plan 12 months later and ensure that all employees are on an ethical and value-based system which the company agrees to. Companies which have implemented a code of ethics or code of conduct have benefited in many ways. Organizations which have implemented codes of conduct or codes of ethics have benefited in many ways. Some of the ways they have benefited have been a more transparent behavior and understanding by employees, feedback from customers that ethical behavior is favored by customers. Customers prefer to understand that a company is behaving ethically both towards the environment, towards its employees, and towards other stakeholders. Companies have also enjoyed better staff retention and also employing staff and talent management. This has resulted from an ethical stance employed by companies. In fact, investors these days are much more eager to invest in companies which have a code of ethics and a code of conduct which they live by. Investors feel more confident with companies which have codes of conduct or codes of ethics. They see a better return on their investment. Companies who have employed a code of conduct or ethics have enjoyed a better corporate culture and morale amongst their employees. Employees feel that working for a company with an ethical nature about them is a far better bet than one that isn't ethically orientated. So, with a code of conduct, you can enjoy a better reputation as a corporate. Lastly, having a code of conduct reduces the likelihood of legal conflicts and/or regulatory conflicts. These can hamper an organization and are curtailed somewhat with a code of conduct or ethics lived by the company. So just to summarize then, a code of conduct or a code of ethics is becoming more and more important in today's global business world. Customers, employees, and other stakeholders alike are valuing companies which abide by a code of ethics or a code of conduct. My name's Graham Ward, and I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I'll see you at the next Unit Standard.